What's up, kinfolk? Welcome to Adapt and Respond. If this is your first time watching Adapt and Respond, thank you for joining us here. We talk college football year round. We talk football year round. If you're into that, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like this video, and answer the question that Kate asked in the comments below. Producer Kate is back, and a segment show that we're kind of calling Kate Ask Kate, because I'm going to do a little bit back and forth here, but I've always thought Kate asked the most interesting questions about college football, about sports, and the opportunity to discuss those questions with her is one that I could not pass up, including things like name, image, and likeness and revenue sharing. And I think some of these topics that you already may know something about, but might be more clarifying as we discuss them at some length. So, Producer Kate, what do you got for us?
Oh, hello. Well, I am just going to jump right into it. And one of the things that you and I have been talking a lot about is the kind of new revenue sort of sharing revenue stream for college football players currently. And I was just curious if you think that this could potentially incentivize players to stay in college football for, longer, and how all of that could potentially work. So, or how it, yeah.
I think staying in college football longer is kind of a byproduct of name, image, and likeness that people would want to see. Not so in a hurry to get to the league, but also would like to see some players finish out entire seasons. One of the things that really hurt college football is the idea that players were in this for themselves when they should be in it for the team. So at the end of the season, it was not uncommon to see a player that thought he had a very high draft stock just forego playing in their bowl game to save himself from injury.
Mm-hmm.
But we play football, right? To play football is to play with, the idea that you could be injured. Then there is, hey, we're paying you enough money to where you don't have to make this jump to the NFL as soon as it happens. And it can be big enough money that it can be generational wealth. It can really change how your family lives for the rest of your life. All that is in play. The staying longer aspect has also been interesting because we've had basically coming to the end of the COVID eligibility. So what you had was 2020, you were a college football player. They gave you back a year of eligibility, even if you played in 2020, which meant that you had guys that were playing for 5, 6, and even 7 years. We're getting to the tail end of that. But name, image, and likeness came along at that time too, which meant that guys that probably would not have played a seventh year played a 7th year, which means that less high school football players had opportunities to play major college football, and we're all just trading players in the transfer portal as opposed to developing and recruiting 17, 18-year-olds that may have been FBS or Division I players at a high level in, say, 2018, 2019. That just aren't now. So I think the answer to your question is yes, they are incentivized to stay longer, but at what cost?
This is just kind of an offshoot question of that question. It just occurred to me. How does playing football work with graduate programs and stuff like I just have never met a college football player that was in a grad program. I'm sure they exist. I have heard of some players getting MBAs and different degrees like that. But yeah, how does all that work?
There are many.
Yeah.
There are many. And it is not uncommon for a player to graduate in 3 years and spend that last year or the last 2 years pursuing a graduate degree. That is the smartest play to make for your academic success and to make the most of your academic experience. My favorite example of this is Alan Bowman, who was a quarterback at Texas Tech, had a really terrible injury, needed to sit out a year, transferred to Michigan. Over the course of his time in Michigan, he picked up a master's degree, I believe, in finance, and then he went to Oklahoma State, where he played another year, and picked up another master's degree. We love graduate transfers in college football. As a matter of fact, we made a special rule, I believe in 2009, 2010, that said if you had graduated high school, you can transfer it wherever you want without penalty. This is before name, image, and likeness. This is before the transfer portal. And at the time, you could not transfer within division, say Oklahoma to Oklahoma State, without sitting out a year and or losing a year of eligibility or having to take a redshirt year. Just didn't do it. But we were so trying to incentivize graduating that we made it cool to be a graduate transfer. And that's the way that many players not only leave their institutions, but leave it in good standing, not just with their diplomas, but with their programs. So places like, for instance, Oklahoma famously had Jalen Hurts transfer from Alabama to Oklahoma as a graduate transfer. He graduated from Alabama. He had helped win national championship at Alabama, and he was beloved there. He also was not going to be the starting quarterback. And Nick Saban, his head coach, asked him, where do you want to go? And he said, I want to go who's got the best offense I could play. And he said, well, that's Oklahoma. Let's call Lincoln Riley and let's see if he needs a quarterback. And he did, and it worked out well. You'll see more graduate transfers the more you look around now, because all you'll need to do is ask. But there are those at TU. There are several at OU. There are several at OSU. They're all over the map. We just don't do a great job of publicizing it because as much as people claim to want to know about an education, they're much more interested in how much money you're getting paid to play football.
Yeah. Are there any PhD? I'm surely there are PhD college football players, right? Like
that are playing college football.
There's got to be like one guy that's just like, no, I'm like really into biochemistry guys or something like that.
It's also really difficult to be a PhD candidate in the hard science fields because of what it takes from a lab standpoint, not just a study standpoint. But I think the closest you get is there was a Florida State safety whose name is Myron Rolle. It's a Rolle scholar, and he's a neurosurgeon now.
Wow.
He was not, I think, in medical school when he was playing, but it was already set. He was going. And it's kind of like being in a service academy and playing football. Like there's a rule that says, hey, if you get drafted out of Air Force, Army, or Navy, and we think you can play, we'll allow for such a thing. And your 5 years can either be mitigated or you'll do it later because it's good publicity for armed forces as much as anything else. You got a player that is that good. You want to get him out in front of many people as a recruiting instrument as you can. But to my knowledge, I don't know of one off the top of my head, but I'm sure somebody has. But I don't think anybody's doing that now. It would probably be in the 70s or 80s when this was possible.
They were probably like ridiculous students too. Just
well, and it requires more of a football player to be a football player today than it used to.
Yeah,
it is now it is quite literally a full-time job, and we could probably tell you, hey, we feel a lot better if you chose to major in organizational studies or communications.
Yeah. Do you think that there is incentive for some players who are like, okay, I'm good at football. I love playing football, but I'm getting paid out in college. Like you said, it sums that could almost provide generational wealth and that sort of thing. Do you think that also kind of is incentive for some people who are looking, down at their careers, like, how long am I going to really play in the NFL? And maybe they just retire after college football. Like, I mean, people do anyway, because, just either they don't get drafted or, circumstances, that kind of thing. But do you think that the whole payment scheme will maybe contribute to that? Whereas like players are like, I'm already a millionaire once I get out. So like, why should I, destroy my body for another, 10, 15 years or whatever. So do you think that is the other flip side of it? Like it might incentivize some guys not to go on to the NFL.
You're bringing rationality into an irrational sport. My hope is that idea is more than a passing thought. If for no other reason, then college football can be an ends meet, like that you have met your end, because the money that you may have made in the NFL or probably would not have made in the NFL, you get to make in college football, and you still have the opportunity to play in the NFL or not, or you can take the money that you earned and find out that you got cut and be okay. There are now millionaires that are entering the NFL draft that will not be millionaires for the first time after they exit the NFL draft. And that's pretty cool. I enjoy that. I also think that most football players will tell you they will play until someone tells them they can't. Full stop. I talked to players with debilitating injuries, knee replacements, hip replacements, probably going to suffer from the symptoms of CTE at some point if they don't already. And I have yet to meet one in person. I'm sure someone exists, but in person who will tell me, I regret what I did. They will tell me, no, I do it again. The life that I live, the life that my family lives is because I played football for as long as I could play football. Mm-hmm. And that becomes who you are. I also think that big part of this, Kate, it's got to do with how do we as a society talk about a football player? They are places of honor. We still refer to coaches who don't coach sports anymore as coach, as an honorific. That is who a football player gets to be for the rest of their life. And if you played in the league, you forever played in the league. And one of the first questions that you get asked, I get asked this all the time, did you play? Not what do you know about the sport, not how smart are you about the sport. Did you play? And at what level did you play? Division II, Division III, Group of 6, Power 4. If you say you played football at Oklahoma, now we get to look that up and see, oh, that dude was cold. And that changes somebody's tenor. I don't think that someone's going to look at their college football career and say, this is the end for me. This is as far as I plan to go, unless they're being made to make that decision right away.
Do you think that mindset, I don't know what that word is, that mindset has changed kind of over the years? Because I just kind of, how do I put this? Think about people like our dad's age. Like, as an example, my dad, he did play football. I'm not going to tell you guys where he played football for a little bit. You have to get to know me more before I'll let that out. But like, he played football, but he never really seemed like he planned to go past college. Like, he was just doing it for college. From what I gleaned, maybe if he had been a better football player, it would have been a different story. But do you think that more so, like, some of the older guys kind of, it was like more of a temporary thing besides going in the NFL? Or do you think that that's always been kind of a mindset of like being a football player in the NFL?
It depends entirely on how much money you think you can make in the NFL. Right?
Yeah.
I'm going to say that your dad did not play in the 2000s. Your dad did not play at a moment when Tom Brady could make several million dollars. My favorite example of this, King Finesse himself, Sam Bradford, who didn't do much in the NFL, but signed a guaranteed $50 million contract when he was drafted. If the money is there, you will do it. Now, there's also the part about being older. That is the part about being older. I mean, there's always a trade here. Like, was he thinking about playing the NFL as much as someone else? Probably not. But also, education was not really that big a deal. It could get paid for. Getting a house, not that big a deal. You could find one.
Oh, yeah. They had a completely different universe than
right. And I think you got to take that into account when you're making that comparison in football. If you think there's a comparison to make in the price of a gallon of milk in 1975 or 1985 or 1995, layer that over the top of football and you probably get your answer.
Yeah, I think I use my dad as like a good example because like I just feel like, I don't know if you had this experience growing up, but like I feel like every single dad I encountered, just growing up or anything, played football. Every single one of them played football. And, will still tell you about when their team went to championships in like 1978, that sort of thing. And it's just kind of an interesting, like, I guess because like I sort of grew up with those people, like I kind of got the impression there were like two separate sorts of people, right? Like people who were playing, football for however long they play it, not, but they didn't specifically have NFL dream. So I don't know. I was just curious if those players still exist and like that. Maybe they're not good enough to eventually go to the NFL and they'll stay in college. I don't know. Yeah.
I don't think it's that much different than your experience in, anybody's experience in Europe. They play soccer.
That's true. Yeah.
We don't call it, they don't call it soccer, but they play soccer. Everybody plays soccer. And the greatest race car driver who has ever lived, and his name is Lewis Hamilton. It's not Max friggin' Verstappen. It's not Ayrton Senna. It's Lewis Hamilton. I'll fight you on this tooth and nail. I will win too. However, that dude wanted to play soccer. That dude was an Arsenal fan. The national pastime is the national pastime. And that is evidenced by not just how many people play football, but how people can feel if they don't know that you know much about football or you don't care about it. I've often said this, and I think, Kate, you've heard me say this. Every year, top 100 rated shows on television, 75 to 80 of the 100 are all football games. Means that the worst football game was watched by more people than the best scripted television show. That's who we are. It makes sense to me that most men who played football will use that as a jumping off point. A, you got it in common. B, it's a great way to establish your bona fides and masculinity. And if you didn't play football, there better be a damn good reason as to why. Like, mom said no. Okay, so what happened in high school? You know, I was a better baseball player.
I played basketball,
cool. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So it was just kind of, just coming back, like, I'm just curious how the money is, like shifting everything. And because there was one conversation that we had once where you were talking like how kind of historically players used to be able to kind of switch between schools even more quickly. Isn't that right? Like way back, like,
in the early 20th century, it was not uncommon for one player to play for a college football team for one team and another team in the same afternoon. We also got the formation of the NCAA because players during this time were getting killed.
Yeah.
Because the game was so violent. And Teddy Roosevelt, who is as hard as they come when we talk about presidents, said, "All right, enough. I can't have guys dying playing football. I can't have that. We're going to have to codify this in a way that makes sense." And I often say this: football, one of the reasons that it is so popular is that it was created to simulate trench warfare. That's it. So much so that Walter Camp hated the idea of the forward pass. You are circumventing what he created the game to do, which is to create soldiers who were much more comfortable fighting in trenches, because that's the way that we used to fight. So knowing all of that, it does make sense that you would have something that is more ravenous than rugby to simulate how to actually fight as an American, be the thing. And now we still get, there's still the Walter Camp All-Americans, the Walter Camp Trophy. These are big deals in the sport. And when you take into account that throwing the football kind of makes you soft, run the football, it makes you hard. It makes us hard. It's more physically taxing on the team across you. And there's data to show that it's really difficult to get away from that. There is something unique about moving another person against their will from one point to another over and over and over again that takes someone's, as we say, will to play. Whereas if I'm throwing the football, that doesn't take much effort out of the defensive line, doesn't take much effort out of the safeties. It just means that, okay, they beat us on a quick strike. If we take the ball back and we continue to take it and beat the hell out of them with it, they're going to want to fold, because that's what you're trying to make the game into. You're not trying to make the game into something that is explosive and fast, even, dare I say it, fun to watch. You're trying to make it into a test of wills. And when you can do that, you usually have a pretty good football team. Like, one of the favorite games of anybody to watch sports has been that 9-6 affair between Alabama and LSU 2007. And it's boring for anybody that doesn't watch football. But for people that are raised on this is how you play and win, it's just the defensive line and offensive line trying to kill each other for an entire game. Usually what happens is we throw the football and somebody scores and it's great. But I don't think that we have gotten away from the identity of the sport, which is, yeah, if you can make money beating people up, make money beating people up. We do it differently, but wasn't that long ago that there was no penalty for hitting somebody in the helmet with your shoulder. Now we call that targeting. If you hit somebody in the head or neck area now, it's not only a penalty, severe, 15 yards, you can get ejected. When I was in high school, hell, when I was in college, that's a legal hit. And that's what you're looking for. There are moments during a game when a defensive back knows he can either go for the ball or he can go for the body. And most defensive backs will tell you, I don't want anything to do with that ball. I want to hurt him. Why? So he doesn't want to catch any other passes the rest of the game. But you could have taken the possession. You could have got the ball back. You could have given your opportunity to score. That ain't fun. It is. It's fun to pick off the ball and run it back. But when you are the highlight and when you are the thing that's being crowned in the film room, that's what you seek. You know, sometimes you might get a, hey, play the ball. Like one of my favorite 80s movies of all time, actually, that nobody watches, All the Right Moves. Coach Nickerson tells Tom Cruise, Stefan Georgievich, you go for the ball. Don't go for the player. You go for the player, you could get a penalty. If you get there before he gets there, they call that pass interference. That's a 15-yard penalty. If you go for the ball, you have a better opportunity, not just disrupting the play, but making a great play for us. No, I want to run through the dude because I'm 17 and I'm a virile male and I have, I don't know, some vendetta since elementary school. I want to date his girlfriend, whatever. If you can impose your will physically on someone else, we've learned that society will reward you for it.
As, out of curiosity, are there any, very vocal people in the sport that want to go back to rules 1.0, like some,
No,
they're like, oh no, we have
so.
too many rules now. Let's go back to the original rules. Just out of curiosity.
I don't think so. I think there's more like, please don't get in the way of my fun. Whatever rule gets in the way of me having a good time, stop it.
I can't believe there's not somebody out there who was like, hey, Teddy Roosevelt had the wrong idea. We need to go back to the OG rules.
Nobody that you're listening to, Kate. Nobody that you're listening to and nobody that you would take seriously. That's the problem. We're always going to have an outlier. We're always going to have a straw man. We're always going to have a weirdo. But the majority is what moves the sport.
Maybe I should start a, authentic American Football League and, sign up for more concussions, right?
long as you get a television network to support you, you'll make some money.
Oh, okay. Well, you guys heard it here first if that happens. I guess we can move on to next question. Are there any football teams that no longer exist? There have to be, right? I mean, outside of like name changing and stuff like that.
Yeah, they do. Matter of fact, famously, University of Alabama, Birmingham folded their football team, I want to say 2019, after they were pretty good. And they folded it because they didn't think that it was worth the revenue that it took to fund the program. Such a loud backlash that they brought the program back. You have football teams that begrudgingly fold up now because the reason you don't see it, at least in college, it happen as often as you might think. Football is still the great revenue driver for your university and marketing tool for your university and predictor of future success for your university. My favorite example of that is Nick Saban showed up to Alabama, which was mediocre, had an incoming ACT score of about 19, I believe, in 2006, year before he got there. By the time he had won his 6th national championship at Alabama, this would be 2020, if you didn't get a 29 on your ACT, you didn't get into Alabama. It became a top research university. It became a top journalism university. And it is the foundation for which the University of Alabama and state of Alabama gets its revenue. one of the ways in which this was reinforced is Saban had finally got the thing rolling in about 2008, 2009. They win their first national championship. Former assistant for him named Jimbo Fisher was interviewed and selected by the athletic director at UAB to be the head coach. And it goes to Board of Regents like it does for every other college football coach in America to basically rubber stamp, say, okay, cool. The athletic director gets who they want. They did not vote to approve Jimbo Fisher as a head coach at UAB, to which the question was, why the hell not? Because we can't have anybody competing with Alabama football inside the state of Alabama. Auburn understands if they win, great, that's fine. That's okay. But the Board of Regents for the University of Alabama system understood that all roads need to run through Tuscaloosa for the cow to continue to create cash. And that's what it is at the bottom line of all this. If you can prove to your Board of Regents that your lost leader is worth having, you get to keep it. My University of Tulsa is another example of this. I ranked them 127 out of 136 teams, and TU fans have had something to say about it, to which I say, yeah, I told you, 4 Pro Football Hall of Famers. Now, 2 first-round draft picks in the last 5 years. We suck. We suck. We are awful, and we have no excuse. Well, we should fold football, to which good luck getting that past the Board of Regents, who just hired the former athletic director, who was once the interim athletic director, to be the president of the university, because they understand you can grab a great bunch of engineers, you have a great bunch of Fulton scholars, Rhodes scholars. But the thing that gets people to pay full price to go to a place like the University of Tulsa is a great football team.
And so
there she is. Okay.
Yeah, here I am. Sorry. Don't you just love technology? So when you
sometimes.
So when you get like situations like TU, where there's just like no reason why they should be losing like they are.
There's many reasons.
Well,
there's many reasons. So I want to give them that grace, is what I'm saying. It's a small university.
No, there's no reason why. What do you mean, RJ? Like, okay. Come on, everyone. You've said famously, everyone should be able to win, right? Isn't that, everyone has the tools. I'm just kind of curious too. Do you feel like a lot, like, because one of them, I'm always amused when TU plays like OU, right? Because like everybody goes to watch that. Like TU, what is it? I think like
it's TU the only guaranteed sellout every year.
Every year, yeah.
That they play OU, yeah.
And it is like a big thing in Tulsa and like craziness. So I'm trying to think of how to ask this question. Is that just like OU just throwing TU a bone effectively? I mean, they get a split of the proceeds too, of course, that sort of thing.
No, actually, this is one of my favorite. It's one of my stuck a coin in one of my favorite jukeboxes, Kate.
You're welcome.
So the University of Tulsa can guarantee a sellout for this one game. OU has sellouts for every game.
Yeah.
Okay. But the fandoms are different. What usually happens, or what used to happen, is same thing kind of happens with University of Georgia, Ohio State. You will pick out 1 or even 2 in-state programs to play against so that you can either A, help them build up their university. So Georgia might play Mercer, which is in the FCS, and they'll beat the tar out of them. So what do you give them to compensate for this? Well, it can be anything between $500,000 and $2 million to come play at Georgia and get the snot kicked out of you. For OU and Tulsa, it might be what we call a home and home. So you'll get paid, say, $1.1 million as the University of Tulsa to go to OU to get your ass beat. And then you'll pay them, let's say, $500,000 to come to Tulsa to beat you up. These are bye games. Now, every now and again, you get a bye game between 2 teams that are ridiculously dissimilar, and it results in what I've called money in the bag. So Northern Illinois, directional Illinois, played Notre Dame last year at Notre Dame Stadium, and they pulled off a miraculous upset, which meant the game that they were getting paid to get their asses beat for, they won. So not only did they get the W, they get the money in the bag too, and take that back. You take that game if you're Northern Illinois or Tulsa so that you can meet your athletic department budget requirements, because athletic departments run at a loss. There, I believe, are only 10 or 12 athletic departments in the entire country that operate in the black, and they're not supposed to. They've been operating like nonprofits for years, and that's getting ready to change.
But are those like programs that are like the Texas program with like
sure
donors,
Texas,
like
Texas A&M, Ohio State, Michigan, Penn
they
State.
They don't count. They have donors that keep them in the black.
So does Southern Methodist, and that's where the sauce is. That's where I'm going, right? So TU believes that it should compete with Texas Christian and Southern Methodist academically and perhaps athletically. Difference is Texas Christian and SMU got billionaire backers that will say our pockets, they're pretty deep. So for instance, Southern Methodist wanted to join the ACC, which is a Power 4 conference, premier conference. And they said, hey, that's great, but we don't want to pay you. And they said, that's fine. So they're giving up television revenue, millions of dollars. I'm talking 30, 35 million a year to play in this conference and not make any money so that they can compete at a high level, with the gamble being if they go win, they're going to raise the, shall we say, the reputation of Southern Methodist across the board. And that's what happened last year. They were really good. They made the college football playoff. And when you got billionaires that say, we'll make you whole on this, and we'll give you money to go get who you need to get, that is the part that TU can't do. And that is the part that Ohio State could do, period, or Texas, haves and have-nots. So how do you get more billionaires to support your small, private, religious institution? Well, you got to graduate them. And the only way to graduate them...
Alumni.
So these Alabama, if it ever does have a really, really terrible year, will get another group of billionaires that show up because they were there as high-performing individuals who got high-performing jobs, who became CEOs of this or that, who want to see their program be good or not. The same argument might be made for Stanford, but Stanford doesn't seem to care as much about winning at a high level in football as it does not being embarrassed. And they had a great run. Like Jim Harbaugh and David Shaw put together a great run at Stanford, which, kind of like Notre Dame, should not be great at football, but they want to be, so they can recruit the best and the brightest to support them. And then they this tangent, but tell you how pretentious Stanford is. The football coach at Stanford is not called football coach.
Oh.
He is the director of football.
He directs football, all the footballs.
It emphasizes that Stanford is athletically wants to be Olympic in space, Olympic in birth, Olympic in bid, but they're also ACC members now, and they're getting spun up because they don't like being bad. Nobody likes being bad. And that's what happens if you are not chasing being great. You will be bad very quickly. And bad is embarrassing. Embarrassing, your alumni won't put up with that. More importantly, new and prospective students might not want to come to your university if they know the football team is going to be sorry when they go out there on fall Saturdays.
That makes a lot of sense. Do you want to know what I think TU's like funniest alumni is?
Sure.
Dr. Phil. So maybe, he can come in and get the football team, shaped up, right?
Sure. Sure. Yeah, sure.
Yep.
TU's funniest alumni for me, probably Drew Pearson.
I was going to say, who's your funniest TU alumni?
Yeah, probably Drew Pearson. Drew Pearson played wide receiver for the Dallas Cowboys, inducted in the Ring of Honor. It was one of the Pro Football Hall of Famers at TU. But
no, he sounds like a cool person, though. How is that the funniest person?
I will tell Kate my Drew Pearson story later.
Where you can't be recorded?
Obviously, Kate. Obviously.
No, I was just telling the audience, like, that's why he's doing that.
Yeah, they don't. They get it. They're fine. They understand.
I think
They
they
know what the
probably do
elevator
that,
music
yeah.
means.
And it has more has anything else changed kind of with like how do I put this with since people are getting paid more obviously I feel like we're just talking about college football forever, but like since people are getting paid what they're getting paid now, are they a bit more like restrictive as far as like player behavior? Because that's something we've talked about before, is like trying to keep players not in line, that's not the right word, but it's like, oh, suddenly you have like a 17-year-old kid who is now has $2 million, that sort of thing. Are they trying to provide these kids like more guidance or
Yes, we have lots of athletes and coaches who want to be somebody's daddy. Yeah.
Aw.
Yeah, we do. And I'm not into it. I'm not
Oh,
into it. I hate it. No, if that 17-year-old wants to be an idiot, that is his right. As an 18-year-old, that is absolutely their right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? You can carry a firearm and go defend this country. You can do whatever the hell you want with your money. If you want to be stupid, by all means. Now you have some coaches who go, no, I'm not going to let it get that far. You're going to do this and you're going to do that. And you'll even have some that have tried to fine players for getting into trouble. That doesn't really work as well as you think. But what if you gave me this money when I was 17? I know what I would have done. Well, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. At 18, you're an idiot. Cool. I'm not going to assume that another 18-year-old, another 17-year-old, another 19-year-old is an idiot. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. You get the opportunity to show me that you're stupid. That many people tend to. It's not my problem. You wanted them. You paid them. Now, don't tell me what to tell them what to do with the money that you just paid them. They earned it. So if they want to go blow it on Legos, do that. If they are, what we're finding out is they're being preyed upon by people who know something. But also, we're getting much more financially literate. And I don't think people are giving athletes enough credit for this in general, or just people. The idea of what you should be doing with your money or not is not a question that many had to answer at this age. And now that so many do, literacy is going up and nobody gets any credit for that. It's like, oh, well, I'm going to go to the extreme. I'm going to say, see what this kid did with his money. He doesn't have any. That happens at the NFL ranks too, but I don't see anybody talking about it. Like the NFL minimum this year is probably going to be around like $800,000. There are lots of stories about guys who've blown all of their money before they receive their first check, because you only get paid in the NFL after each game.
Mm-hmm.
So you get paid 17 times all in a straight line. And you might have been leveraged to the hilt because you need to buy a house, or you need to get an apartment, or you need to get a car, or you were stupid and had a credit card with 27% interest. Financially stupid is financially stupid. And usually the only way to fix that is for you to be financially broken in half before you find out, oh yeah, I do pay 24% in taxes.
I like how in my mind I had almost like a stupid like feel good movie or like television show was like, oh, the kids are going to be taken care of like with their money, like, and you're like, no, let them be stupid and break and waste all their money, which I don't disagree with. I just it's just funny the directions our brains went on that on that particular topic.
I have lived half my life covering the sport, and I've lived all of my life watching people be stupid with money. I don't think telling somebody not to do with their money is going to work as often as people think. The only one time I can think of it working was when somebody had wildly too much of it at the time that they could part with a small part. So I believe it was Allen Iverson who had representation that say, hey, what I want to do is take some of this. We're talking about $100 million over the course of his career in the NBA. I want to take like 20 million of this. I kind of want to put it where you can't touch it till you're 40. And he's going, what's that going to do to my bottom line right now? Can I still spend Yeah. You got more than enough. Looking at your expenses, looking at what you spend, you got more than enough. But I want to take this. I want to stick it over there. Cool. And when he was destitute and broke at the end of it, there was this money he could go dip into. That's the feel-good story that you're looking for, I think. I'm just not interested in it. I'm not interested in it.
That's fine.
I think it's more fun to talk about, yo, man, so 20% down on a house? What's your interest rate? Is it fixed? When are you gonna pay this off?
What
your taxes are? Is your homestead extension?
What is your mortgage? Or are you just gonna,
Yeah. Hey, look. Hey, have you refied? You see what these interest rates is doing, homie?
That's just
wait.
That's
what car you got? Why are you driving a new car? Nah, man, go get that hoopty. I'm trying to pull ladies. Fool, you play football. All you could ride up on one of my bicycles and it'd be all right. What you need is to go get you a hoopty that got some AC in it, some good gas mileage, and you drive that till you don't anymore. I love the story about the athlete that drives the Tahoe to work. You know what I'm saying? Drives the Corolla to work. Because that's a man that's been made to understand, I play in the NBA. What do I need with a nice car? And more importantly, why is somebody wanting to give you a car to drive? Because that's usually what happens too. Hey, here's this deal. We're going to pay you and we're going to supply you this car. It's in coaches' contracts. They have form of vehicles. They even have miles they get to fly on the private plane. These are all things you can build in. Are you smart enough to ask for what you're smart enough to ask for? And again, they got parents, and they got parents with their hands out. And they got parents who mostly are usually financially blessed themselves. Arch Manning is a great example. He comes from the Manning family. Mm-hmm. Guess what Arch Manning has never had to worry about? Money. Guess what he's not interested in? Money. Guess why people love him? He ain't interested in money. Most of America does not get to live that way. So I'm much harder on this topic. I'm much harder. And I ball up my fists at the idea of telling somebody who came into some money what they can't do with it. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes you got to do what you got to do to learn what you got to learn.
Well, that makes sense. It is kind of strange in my mind to know that there's like players in the NFL that make considerably less than players in college football right now.
Yeah, and they don't like it either. But there are players in the NBA that make considerably more than NFL players, and they bitch about it every year. Like it's just okay. I think we got time for one more.
Okay,
we gotta wrap up.
Do you want to do my F1 questions? Because F1 is something that is like this big fog of a mystery to me.
I love F1.
So
yes, let's do your F1 question.
Since we talked about college football forever, but so we'll switch it up.
Football show. We're not going to talk about that.
Oh, sorry. Oh, what is it? Sorry, not sorry. I can't say the thing I usually say on air.
No, you can't. No, you can't.
It involves a pumpkin. That's all I'm going to say, guys. And you will never hear it on.
Oh my God!
But it kills RJ every time. Just trust me. So do they do drug testing for athletes not athletes, drivers in the F1? Like,
yes, they do. But it's never really a thing you have to worry about because they are so attuned to their senses that to be too heightened, I'm going to use a tame one, caffeine, might take them too far across the line with their sensitivity. And to use marijuana might take them too low below the line for their sensitivity. They have to be able to rely on their weight not changing and to be in the same neutral space every single time they get in the car, because the car is always going to be on edge. You can't be. So my favorite story about this is I go to the Las Vegas Grand Prix last year.
Where your fancy shoes came from, RJ. Don't forget to mention that.
There's a story there, and maybe one day I'll tell it. But they do partake of the of the reefer, to use the old white folks term, of the marijuana.
The reefer.
Of the grass.
Everyone go watch Reefer Madness so you know what RJ's talking about.
Unless you're black, and then you'll feel so out of place.
Never mind.
I don't know.
Anyway, keep going. They smoke the reefer as
they do. And the drivers were pissed because they could smell it. They were going, I'm not going to pass a drug test because it's contact high. I'm because it was everywhere. It was really difficult. It's like, ooh, somebody stinky is good. And it was all the time. So, that's one of they don't really like the Vegas race because it is, it's F1's premier race. It's the one they put on. It's the one they care about the most. And it is also the one that is most kind of out of out of pocket. For instance, most F1 races go on at like 3 o'clock local time. This one goes on at 10 o'clock local time in November, and it's cold, and you're going on streets that were just driven on by cars like hours before. So the roads are, quote, dirty for the tires. So you're not able to trust the grip, which means you're not able to trust the brakes, which means you can crash. And you're racing at night. And you're racing in an environment that is not necessarily designed for 200 miles an hour down the straight. So like they do get tested, and I'm sure somebody has failed one, but that's never been like, they don't even drink for that reason. They need their senses. They need their neurological system to be pristine. Otherwise, I think it might be a problem.
Yeah, when I thought of this question, I was like, what questions do I have about F1? And I was like, what is like one of the most terrifying things is like a inebriated race car driver. For some reason, I find the concept just really scary.
Well, we got those. You ever heard of a moonshine runner?
Well, that's a bit different.
I don't know. They become NASCAR drivers. Well, make other NASCAR drivers. Where the sport is built on the legacy of moonshine running. We got Budweiser sponsoring. We got Coors sponsoring. Put another way. In F1, you got cigarettes, Marlboro, John Player, down the line. In NASCAR, Bud, Coors, want to sponsor a car? Hell yeah! I drink that when I'm not racing.
There's an anime that you need to watch. Or remind me later, though. Okay, sorry about that. It involves Marlboro and F1 racing and anime. So there you go. So there's some kind of committee that chooses the tracks, right?
No.
Then how do they choose? Because there was that super dangerous one you were telling me about, right? Where they had to create like a ramp type thing because it was going too fast or something like that.
Monza. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You know what? Nobody likes it when you die in a race car. Nobody likes it when your sport has people dying. And at one point, 50 drivers died in something like 20 years.
RJ, I don't know about that because there's a lot of sports that started out with the
on television. Nobody likes to see a driver die on television.
I was gonna say we used to have sports where people like wrestled bears and stuff like that. Like,
I'm
people are okay.
Aware that we have sports where people die. We don't have sports where people die on satellite TV.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
The tracks are picked by F1 and the managers of F1, which are the team bosses in the teams. So think of F1 the way you might think of the NFL. You have your NFL owners and you have your labor. Okay. One of those makes the schedule. F1 makes the schedule. It's one of the reasons that they're always mad about the schedule. It's truncated. We've never had more races. If we were up to the drivers, we'd probably cut the number of races in half. They already think there are too many. We don't always race on good tracks, but we race in places where you make a lot of money. So why do you have races in Saudi Arabia, in Jeddah, in Bahrain, and not in Johannesburg or Buenos Aires, but you have them in Sao Paulo or you have them in Austin? Like, one of the things that I love to hear is European F1 fans are going, why does the United States need 3 Grand Prix? You're lucky to get 1, by the way, if you're another country. To which we got to tell them, do you know how big this country is? And, oh, by the way, it's American owned. We kind of want a footprint here at home. Mm-hmm. And they're going, this is a European sport that was bought by Americans. So you're either with the program or you're not. But you have some tracks that will stay on the calendar, but even sainted tracks like Silverstone. The dude that used to run this, a Bond villain I've told you about named Bernie Eccleston, threatened to take it off the calendar, take it off the schedule. And they try to rotate them. But the Miami Grand Prix is going to be a while. Austin Grand Prix is going to be a while. Vegas Grand Prix is going to be a while. Meanwhile, the Dutch Grand Prix is going away. The French Grand Prix no longer exists. Imola, which was one of 2 Italian Grand Prix, probably goes by the wayside. Picking the tracks and their safety is not important as how many people showed up to the event. Mm-hmm. So if you don't have 500,000 people that can show up over the course of your 3 days, probably not going to be an F1 track for very long. Melbourne gets to keep their race because people show up in Australia every single year to see it. And they lord that over people. You know, if you can't get us this audience, say Bahrain or Jeddah or Abu Dhabi, you better pay us an arm and a leg. And so they do. Matter of fact, part of the Bahrain royal family, the government, owns McLaren, like the team. And McLaren's really, really good. One of the reasons they're really, really good, they're very well funded. You know, so when you can afford to pay to have your race on the calendar and own this team, we're going to take your money. And that's what F1 is at its base level. Apex predator capitalist. We don't care. We just want as much as we can.
Everything is all about the oil derricks you can put on the green space at
Texas Tech.
What is it, 3 oil derricks that they put up for that guy?
I think the social media team was having a good time.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, but yes, yes, the oil money is flowing in Lubbock, Texas. Just as the oil money is flowing at Aramco for Jeddah and Abu Dhabi and Bahrain. We'll see. Also, we got a race in China. We got a race in Singapore. I wonder why.
Wouldn't that be so fun to go to?
Singapore?
Yeah.
No.
Or come on. It would be fun.
No, sweaty. Too sweaty. Entirely too sweaty. Wet race, humid race. No, you know me. I got enough humidity right here at home. I'm good. That's going to do it for this episode of Adapt or Respond. If you like the channel, if you like hearing Producer Kate, let us know about that in the comments below. Gonna make this into a regular thing. As you can see, Kate and I can talk for some time about stuff that is cool and stuff that, well, frankly, we think is cool. We hope you think it's cool. If you do, again, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you on the flip side. Say bye, Kate.
Bye-bye. Have a good day and life and blah, blah, blah. Bye.
Bye.